All right, good evening, everybody. I'm going to turn it over to Sue Ruff so she can tell you a little bit more about the Special Ed Task Force. And we really appreciate you all being here tonight.
Well, absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Uh, the task force, the Special Ed Task Force, is a regional affiliate of the New York State Special Education Task Force, which has been around for more than a couple of decades. Um, they started different regional task force groups, and ours was one of the first. The task force is committed to improving educational access and outcomes for students with disabilities through a collaborative regional and statewide network of stakeholders. We serve in this area, the task force covers Broome, Tioga, Tompkins, Chemung, Cortland, Chenango, Otsego, and Delaware counties. We try to provide a forum where parents, advocates, attorneys, school personnel, service providers, individuals with disabilities can come together to discuss issues and policies and propose changes to laws and regulations that impact students with disabilities. We try to choose and pick topics which will promote participation and collaboration and bring people together so that when people all come together in the school settings, everybody's on the same page or at least has heard similar information. We try to identify issues that impact students. We try to promote awareness of those issues. And we also try to look at trends and gaps and other initiatives that affect students with disabilities. So that's who we are, and we are always looking for members. So if you are interested, we'd love to have you join us, and you can just reach out to us through Nancy or whoever sent you the contact for tonight's program. So with that said, Lee, is that, are you next on line here, I hope?
Yes, I am.
There you go. Thank you all.
All right, so we'll get started. I am here tonight by invitation of Sue. We work together at the Southern Tier Independence Center, and thank you for being here this evening. We have a jam-packed evening, but I want you to know too that as we go forward with tonight's presentation, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. And what we talk about tonight, if you have further questions afterward, feel free to contact me anytime. We're here for you as we move forward. And while I hope to answer many of your questions, I realize I probably can't get to all of them, but we'll stay on at the end to answer questions as well. So let's start with the presentation. Let me tell you who we are. All right, hang on a second. There we go. I'm getting a pop-up I didn't expect. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Got the IT going. So this is me. My name is Lee Teesey, and I am from the early childhood. I am an early childhood resource and referral specialist at the Southwest Family and Community Engagement Center. We have an acronym for the Family and Community Engagement Center. It's the FACE Center, and we are located at the Southern Tier Independence Center in Binghamton, New York. You are here tonight for what families can do while waiting for early childhood services to begin. So welcome. And here is a part I'd like you to introduce yourself in the chat. If you could let us know who you are, where you're from, and what you hope to take away from tonight. If you could put that in the chat box. It will help us too as we answer questions. And then if we do need to gear something for additional presentations, then we can take that from what you hope to take away. I hope I answered some of your questions tonight and realize we won't have full closure, but we're looking for as many things we can answer tonight as possible. So we are part of the New York State Education Department Office of Special Education Educational Partnership. And across New York State, there are many FACE centers, and we do the same thing in every FACE center. We're a coordinated and cohesive effort to make sure that families and school districts and communities know how to support students all the way from early childhood to graduation options. We are located, this is my team, located at STIC. Again, we are the South Family and Community Engagement Center, and STIC houses our grant, and our portion of New York covers the Greater Southern Tier, the GST, and the Broome-Tioga-Bosse regions, and that's the highlighted section in orange. Like I said, there's many FACE centers across New York State, and I will be giving you information on how to contact someone from your region, but please feel free. If you ever need anything, or if you want us to help you contact someone in your region, we'd be happy to do that. This evening, I do have quite a few of my coworkers with me. I have Michael Christopher, who is our school-age family engagement facilitator. My partner, Shannon Smith, is a school-age resource and referral specialist. And then I have, on the early childhood side, we have Karen Roseman. She is our family engagement facilitator. And then there's me, I'm Lee TC, and I am the early childhood resource and referral specialist. So what do we do? This is what FACE centers can do. We are looking to support families to be fully engaged in their child's educational process. We hope to build collaborative relationships with the schools and communities and families. And we look to provide information and training to providers and families to improve outcomes for all students. We provide regional learning opportunities and parent groups and intensive partnerships for families, schools, and the community. So tonight we are touching on topics that are related to the work we focus on at the FACE Center, and also the information that we receive that is requested by families. So when they're searching for information, we do try to gear what we're doing in the communities based on what the need is between the schools and the family, and what the community is also asking us for information of. Now let's think about you for a minute. I want you to think about your favorite places to be or visit as a child. Take you back there. Do you remember a favorite toy, a book, some games, something that you like to play with, something that made you really happy? Sue will like this. My favorite 3 feet doll toy was plastic, but I loved her. Her name was Susie. And I loved her, and I took her everywhere with me. And I held her hand. It was plastic and it was hard and cold, but I loved her. Now I want you to ask yourself this. What are your child's favorites? And what brought you here tonight? Are you thinking about what you liked as a child? And can you think right off the bat what interests your children? Is it a book? Was it a special playtime? Did they love blocks or Play-Doh or being outside? I know my oldest child would love to be on the swing. He loved any kind of motion. My youngest child was always taking things apart and putting them back together. So as you describe and think about your child, what would you say is their favorites? If you have a piece of paper, jot that down. As we continue to think, I want you to think about your child's strengths and challenges and interests. So if you were to look, or you were to describe to me what it looks like when your child engages with you or with others, I want you to think about how you support your child when they need help. So when your child looks at you, how do you know they want to engage with you? Is it a look? Is it a touch? Is it a feel? Is it a verbal? Think about engaging. And what does it look like when they engage with someone else? You know, a neighbor, someone at the grocery store. I know a lot of times when I'm at the store, I'll see a little face look up at me, and they'll say hello, and they'll start talking, and they're engaging with people in their community. So I think that's really important when you're out in the world and you watch when they engage. Here's something I'd like you to think about. identifying what your child's strengths are, and questions to ask yourself, and about questions to ask your child. So we all have routines. And I want you to think about, what are some of the things you enjoy doing in your day? I know a routine at our house is we make our own separate coffees to drink. I like mine sweet, almost like a milkshake, and my husband likes it super high test, very dark, almost like dirt. But that's a routine that we have, and that starts our day off. We say good morning and we get going, and then we take our coffee out into the world with us. I also want you to think about your strengths during the day. Where do you feel most confident? Think about too those routines you don't enjoy, and how would you make a routine fit your style better? And then ask your child, what is something we do during the day? What is a routine? And if they're like, what's a routine? Yeah, what's something we do? Where do you see a smile on their face? When do you know that they're happy? Or do they give you a visual cue? Do they smile at you? Do they giggle or just show you when they like something that's happening? Or what do they do when they don't like something that's happening? Those are very important. Is it something they see, something they hear, sounds and smells, textures, the environment? I know we act differently when we're in different places. Sometimes things that are very bright. If you were to walk in my office, I have like 5 lights on. And sometimes I have a little music in the background. And, other people would like it dark or just cozy. For some reason in this next part of my career, I liked the bright colors like yellow. And I was never a yellow person. So what does the environment look like for your child? When they're in their room, when they're in their home, when you take them, if you take them to daycare, or grandma and grandpa's or a neighbor, what is that environment like? And when they're in that environment, do you notice when your child is trying to get something, or are they trying to escape something in a transition? So say you are going from home to a preschool, or home to a babysitter, or from home into grocery store. What are their reactions? Do they want that next step? Do they have trouble getting into their car seat? Where is the transition, and what is it telling you about? Are they trying to get somewhere, get something, or are they trying to get out of something? You need to think about that a little bit. And please generate some comments in the chat. If there is something that you think that, oh yeah, that reminds me, that's what we're hoping to do, is just play on what you are feeling and what your child is feeling as we're moving forward to receiving services while we wait. I know that was a quick minute to think about these things we've been talking about, but now you're probably asking, well, Lee, I'm here tonight because I want to know what to do. And the first thing we have to do is teach, right? So everything we do is based on what we learned, and your child's needs will be met when you look at the key. And that's what we're giving you tonight, is hopefully a few keys to focus on while you're waiting for services to begin. But really it is time and practice. I mean, think about any skill that you've learned, including me tonight. IT was not my big suit, right? I had a good teacher at my job. She's helped me through things. I learned a couple things too from my coworker Stephanie today, how to embed things. And can I do it on my own? Yes, it would probably take me several hours. But if someone shows me how to do it, I write it down, and then I can do it myself. And that's what I want you to think about. When we do it, you show them, here's what I'm doing, and you show your child. And then we do it together. And then you ask your child, you do it. So when you model it, and then you do it together, and you let them do it. And remember too, like skills like communication, that fine motor development, social interaction, and self-care, those are all learned over time. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. I mean, you don't just pick up a toothbrush and know what to do with it, right? You have to model it, demonstrate it, put it in their hands, show them how you put the toothpaste on, and narrate as you're doing these things. What I'd like you to take a look at is the signs from your child when they're ready to learn and they're ready to interact with you. So thinking about it as being on the same page. And those are when you have a teachable moment. So if you're on the same page and you know that they're looking to you to do something, to learn something, pay attention to them when they're starting to engage. They're going to send you cues, and they might come over and touch your hand, smile, make a noise, make a funny face. Think about how they engage you. And often they may point or bring you something to get on the same page. And that's what I'd like you to talk about with your child. Hey, we're on the same page, and just narrate that as it's going on. Or, oh, I saw that you looked at me. Oh, I saw you grab my hand. Show me what is it you want to do? And you may not always be able to be in the moment, but finish up that little bit of conversation and be like, okay, as soon as I'm done with dinner, hang on a second. I'll give you this pot and pan to play with, right? Just a little tiny noise, or you can stir up this water for me. Make it a little interactive while you're doing something to give them that few minutes of learning time, and tell them that it's really important. It's important to you. And you want them to know that. This is from the CDC. This is language development from birth to age 4. And this is where you may have noticed with language, different ages, there is a certain amount of comprehension and a certain amount of expression that comes along with growth. So for example, when you're 6 months old, a baby will startle, they'll smile or coo, and they'll also be quieted by voices, so that they know someone's going to take care of them. People can tell too, a different cry, what it means. So while they're not able to talk, they definitely use their bodies and they use their cries to express what they're looking for. So if they want something to eat, or if they have a diaper that needs to be changed, they're going to let you know with a different cry. And about a year, they're going to understand and be able to comprehend simple words, simple objects, gestures. They're going to be looking at your body language. They're going to be able to do about 18 sounds, and you'll see as progression. This is where you might see some things are not progressing as you would want them to. And you want to find out the reason for that. So if you look through this guideline, I hope it gives you some answers, and then it'll tell you to, I'm going to give you links to the CDC because it has a wonderful resource for families. And we'll get to the resources later in the presentation, but I want you to know there are many resources with links right to them that are hot links. So you just click on them and it will take you right to the site. Now here's my favorite part. I have this beautiful video. I don't care how many times I see it. It always makes me smile. And the reason I want to show it to you tonight, not only is it my favorite, but it just shows this wonderful interaction. And it shows how much communication is more than words. It's how we say the words, it's our tone of voice, and it's our body language. So hang on a second while I figure this out. Fingers crossed.
Need to work on it, right? Yes, okay. Did you understand it though? No, okay.
We
Okay.
just can't see the screen because we just see you.
Oh,
So
that's horrible. Hang
hold
on a
on.
second.
Let me
And you
remove-
probably saw me smiling. Hold on a second. Why is that? Okay, because I didn't share my screen. Okay, hold on.
Yes, that's why.
Well,
Let's get back here.
hang on a second. It would help if I shared the screen. All right. Apparently I didn't learn as much as I needed to. Hold on. Okay, let's see if I can figure this out. How about I hit the share button? Can you see the screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, now let's see if we can. I didn't realize there was going to be some pop-ups. Oh no. There's pop-ups happening. Please excuse me.
It's okay.
Oh
You've got this,
no.
Lee. We believe in you.
All right. Wait a second. This is just the screen. Hold on, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it worked when we tried it.
It did, it worked. Remember? Okay. Bear with me, people.
All good.
Okay, who can share? Who can start sharing? I don't know why this box keeps popping up for me.
Let me see. All right, let's put this on and see if that works.
Okay. Sharing this. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
You got it.
Now
Can
it's
you
gonna work.
see this?
Yep.
Okay. Let's go back to the beginning because it's adorable.
Great.
I'll still be smiling, but okay.
We work on that, right? Yes, okay. Did you understand it though? No. Okay. All right. Huh? Oh, not this one. This is the grand finale of this. Yeah, that's the last one. That's what I was wondering. I don't know what they're gonna do next season because they did some stuff this time. Exactly what I was thinking. Oh yeah. Right. Don't break that again. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think that. Yeah. Like go somewhere else with that, but don't break it here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I said. He was like, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, what in the world? But don't do that here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Really? I was the same thing. We think a lot alike, huh? Oh, that's crazy. Right.
I get to serve
Oh, sorry.
the needs of practitioners and educators.
Is everyone else nodding along and having a communication with the baby, or was it just me? with
Thank
the
you.
camera on?
Thank you, Stephanie.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I love it every time I see it. And I forget parts of it too, so it's really good. Yeah, I mean, if you want to unmute, if anyone wants to join in here, I just love that you can just tell they do this all the time. You know, that they sit there together and they're so expressive with each other, and the dad just keeps going and baby just keeps going. And even the whoever's videotaping, he looks over at like who's videotaping, and the dad's like, yep, I got this. So cute. And it just shows how much expression they have. They can express themselves with their body language. But it's just endearing. And I'm sure you have videos like that, little cell phone videos and things you've taken of each other, that show these moments for you as well. All right, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. Can you see my screen? Yes. Okay. Thank you. All right. So as we're talking about communication and watching that video, you could see from the communication rule breakdown, the words that are said, the meaning, what's communicated, the spoken word, is only 7% of what is actually given. It's 38% the tone of someone's voice. So how they say it, their inflection, the musicality, the up and down, the volume, and 55% of what is being communicated is through body language. So while children don't always know the words to say, they are communicating with their body language and how they're using their voice and watching you, not so much what you're saying, it's what you're doing, your body language and your tone. So as we look at how we're going to use these skills, and you're already doing many of these are just some tips, but praising that positive feedback for behaviors and skills that you're teaching, it motivates them to practice them. Be specific to the skill you're talking about. So if you have your young child and you're sitting there folding laundry, or you're going out the door and you're putting on socks and shoes, and you say to them, show me first which foot you want to put your sock on first. What shoes do you want to wear? Point to the one. So you're using their body and their language through their body to help them communicate, and base it on their skills. Sign language works very well for babies as well. We have a lot of sign language books offered through our lending library at the Southern Tier Independent Center. But use sign language, and when you're speaking the words, let them know as you're narrating what's happening. Babies can't talk back, but they sure can understand what you're saying. So while you're waiting for the services to begin, make sure you narrate what's happening and introduce those words and actions as you're doing them. And you model for your child and you praise their efforts. So if you're next to your child and you're getting ready to give them a bottle, or you're getting ready to hold a hand, say the words and bottle and let them see your mouth, or put their hand up to your lips as you're saying bottle and ba, so they can actually feel what's happening. Have them put their hand up to their mouth as they say ba, and just make it fun. You're going to know the time by looking at their body language, when it's a teachable moment and when it's not. So a lot of the information that we pull from is from challengingbehavior.org. And it is focusing on positive reinforcement and encouragement. And I want you to be able to find this resource. So when you receive the PowerPoint, you'll be able to click right on this link. And if you go to filters, it has many filters drop down, but you go to families. And then I went under building relationships, and it has preferred language. And there's many language drop downs you can pick for this too. So that's why I do love this website. We refer this to a lot through our trainings. We go through this challenging behaviors. We have a lot of trainings related to challenging behaviors. But some examples are from the website to really narrate and talk about something specific. So if they're working hard on putting on their shoes, acknowledge that. Oh, I see you're working so hard on putting on your shoes. Oh, you did it. You must feel so proud of yourself. Or if they get something for you, like help you carry in, a little groceries, or, even if you make them carry in a bag of apples or whatever it is, you say, thank you for helping me. And then they know that they're connected and they're part. And we forget a lot, even as adults. So when something is forgotten and you see that they remember, tell them, great job for remembering to put your shoes on, get your socks, hold my hand in the store. You'll see they'll grab your hand the next time you ask. Be like, okay, if you're acknowledging that they remembered to do that, you should see that over and over. What else can we do to support speech and language? So this is a very high statistic. 86 to almost 100% of the words your child knows will come from the words you speak and of those who care for your child. I grew up with my grandmother in my household, and most of the words that she used, she was much older than me. And some of them were from the country her parents were from. And so I use them in my everyday language now. You're going to learn words from those who care for you. So school teacher, a neighbor who may watch your child, grandparents, aunts and uncles, your best friend. That's where people learn their language from the caretakers. Social interaction is a huge key. It's another key. And language is a tool. Children will learn to communicate by engaging with the people around them. So they listen to your conversations. They engage in verbal exchanges, and they observe all of those nonverbal cues. So the next time you are watching your child with someone else, watch what they're doing when they're engaged with someone else. You're going to see their nonverbal cues. You're going to see how they interact. What do they pay attention to? Where do you see them smile? Where do you see them look like they have a question? How do they start and how do they stop a conversation? You ever watch a child too, when two parents or two adults are talking, and it's almost like watching a tennis match. They're looking back and forth at each parent. They're learning everything that you're saying. That is how they're learning their speech and language. So if you're wondering too, when do we start? It's never too early or too late to start focusing on speech and language. So focusing on speech is going to help everything while waiting for physical therapy or occupational therapy. When you focus on speech and really talk about what it is you're trying to obtain, like what is your goal for your child? It all comes down to, how is the communication happening? So while they're waiting for physical therapy, you're doing physical things with them. And then we have some tips coming up for that as well. But it's always a good time to start. So I want you to think about one thing you can try tomorrow. One thing you've been thinking about, I want to see how they interact when they see the two older children, or if they see grandma and grandpa. What do they do? And when you do this, you're going to encourage interactions. You're going to see your child interact with family and friends in many situations, diverse social settings, and it's going to greatly increase their language skills. And it will also help them express their needs and emotions and thoughts. So as you're watching them, sometimes you might need to narrate. If a language is something, it's a different language, you can tell them, hey, they're speaking a different language. And they will still watch the interaction between people, other children. They're learning more than the words. They're watching them engage in that nonverbal body language. So here are options. What can we do while we're waiting for services? And some of these things you may already be doing. I know we did a lot of these in preschool. So one of my coworkers and I, we worked for Head Start, and we loved doing these early intervention tactile activities. There wasn't a day that went by that we didn't have Play-Doh. We had something to put hands in and just really work on the fine motor, large motor in a case too, if they're really pounding on that Play-Doh. But this is taken from a website called growinglittlebrains.com. And I went right to this section for parents. So this is what therapists will be doing. If you're wondering what you can do in the meantime, shaving cream, it doesn't cost a lot of money. But boy, can they write in it, and you can put it right in the bathtub. All you need is a little tiny bit. Bubbles. Oh my gosh, they love bubbles. Maybe not the time of year for sand, but I loved the water, everything with water. We always had something water, warm water. Bath time is a great time. And playing this game called Does It Sink? Does It Float? And just putting something in the tub and then watching their reaction as they guess, will it sink or will it float? If you're waiting for auditory activities, there are different things, and these links will take you right to activities for guessing the sound, animal sounds, and who doesn't love some animal sounds? You yourself, if you don't do this, make a sound yourself. If you find a picture of a cow, moo. I mean, these are things that we learned as we were growing up. Do them with your child as well.
We have one question on this subject. The question was, what about nonverbal children?
Nonverbal,
Child that
yes.
does not look at you. We're talking
Yes.
about how to motivate grown-ups to interact with children. How do we
Yes.
motivate a child to interact with the people around them?
Yes. And so as we go on with some of these other therapies, you'll see you may not get eye contact, right? It can be very, very difficult. It is one of the hardest things, but pay attention to that one moment. You're trying to engage them with their environment. So while they may not be engaging with you, they will still grab a hand. They will still try to get some kind of attention, whether it's with a behavior that's challenging or something that's a small or silent gesture. So for someone who is on the spectrum and having difficulty engaging face to face, remember those other keys. It isn't just about them looking at you. It's what they're hearing from you. It's what you're putting in the environment. And hopefully too, some of these further things will help you with other things you can do while you're waiting for services. And while they may not, so I said too, when you're thinking about their strengths, play on that. And I know that can be sometimes like, I don't really know. Like, so what do they like to do? Like I said, my older son loved to swing. He was captive audience when he was in the swing. Was he giving me eye contact all the time? No, he wasn't. But that's where I would sing to him, right? I would push and I would count. I would say, little finger songs myself. And sometimes it was just the sound of my voice. I would say, swing, swing, high to the sky. I would do things where I was saying the language and he was listening to what I was saying.
Right,
Did
I
he
like
sing back?
that, right? You zeroed in on his interests, which I think is what like the first part was. You find out what they're really interested
What
in
do
and
they like
attracted
to do?
to. Because once you figure that out, you can kind of engage them around certain things. It's
Thank
just-
you, Shannon.
I'd
And
like-
that's why I wanted you to remember too, what did you like to do? I like to be outdoors. Back in the day, jungle gyms and swinging for me was great too. We used to just go out and ride our bike. I mean, to be outdoors was different because we didn't do that all the time. But when I was outdoor, it felt very, very liberating to me. Some people don't like that big open space. So you're going to look to see, remember I said, what do you like to do? Pay attention, focus on what it is that gains their attention. If you know they love cars, like I said too, paying attention to my older son, he had interest. Matter of fact, the other day, he's 31. He asked me if I knew the order of how he played with toys, what toys he played with. And I was able to go all the way back. And I said to him, oh, yes, you were first interested in Gumby. I don't even know if you know what Gumby is, but then Thomas the Train, he loved watching trains, how they go back and forth. And then he got into Power Rangers. But I also went back to the very beginning and he had no idea that I remembered this because it took him a moment. His first toy was a formula, little bear formula toy. It was squeegee that you could put in the bathtub, little tiny bear that had, his body was brown, but his nose, the tip of his nose was black and the rest of his nose was white. And he was a little bear. And he remembered that when I talked about it. And I remembered I put the bear, now he was a little baby, 6 months and younger. I put that where his changing table was. So he would look and he would touch the baby, touch that little bear while I changed his diaper, or if I was changing his clothes. And I knew that he liked that one toy, right? So if I wanted him to move to the next activity, I would pick up the toy and the baby and we would go. So pay attention to what are their favorite toys. Sometimes it's just a special little blanket. My second son, he didn't just have one blanket, he had 2 blankets and we brought those 2 blankets everywhere. And that's how we moved from task to task. He carried his blankets. So I know you can think of like, okay, what is it my child likes to do? You may find out further things as they get a little bit older, that they need that transition to move with them as they explore new things. Hopefully that makes some sense too. So while they might not always like bubbles, if bubbles is their thing at 6 months, 1 year, then you might expand to where they are taking a bubble blower, or you get a bubble machine and you're seeing them pop the bubbles, and you're expanding on that where you have, the machine is blowing the bubbles and you're like, you take their fingers and you're like, pop, pop. So expand on what they like. And also too, when we finish tonight, we're not done. We're still here for you. So if you have other questions and you need something more specific, and I don't answer something, or we don't talk about something tonight, we can always come back. That's what we're there for. We're just a phone call away. We're just an email away. And I want to answer as many questions as I can tonight. Hopefully some of the next few slides can help with some of that. And if not, please reach out to us. So fine motor. This was another game that I like to play, but again, from this website, Teletherapy and What to Do at Home, find something familiar. So like I was saying too about that bear, or, starting with peekaboo, take the familiar item. You know that they're going to know what it is just by feeling a bag, pillowcase, whatever. But have them feel it and then take it out and let them tell you what it is. You may not get eye contact on that, but if they know that their favorite thing is in that bag, hopefully that will bring them some joy, right? That music, some people love it. Some people are like, it's too much for me. Start off with something small. I mean, if it's too loud for your child, by all means, don't give them a pot and pan to bang on with a spoon. Start off with something small, like even just running your hands over a ridge, and the sound that makes, can be a musical instrument. Again, it's not a pot and a spoon for everybody. But if your child does like that, have them copy a beat or two. I always love to, when I engage with a child who was upset about their parent leaving, I always made them a little heart. I always cut out a little heart so they had something to hold on to. And I would cut one out for the parent as well. And that way there was some connection, that they knew that their parent was coming back to pick them up at the end of the night. Or if you're doing some kind of therapy, where you're going someplace, have them hold something that is you, that reminds them of you. My husband used to take out the magical quarter and give it to my son when they went to school. It wasn't the same quarter every time, but they thought it was the magical quarter. Cereal boxes are a great thing. Cut them into puzzle pieces, put the whole thing together, and then have them start putting the one piece back, and then do it again, have them put 2 pieces back. Tearing up paper still can be enjoyable. Watch out for paper cuts, but construction paper very rarely gives you a paper cut. Spray bottles. I just picked up a few at the dollar store, and spraying something, especially snow this time of year, just putting a little food coloring in a bottle. When you're going out, you don't have to be out there for half an hour, 5 minutes, and have them pump the spray bottle. It helps to build that vocabulary, and it helps with their motor skills and the grasping of things. I really hope to have you understand the importance of talking to your child as much as possible. Like I said, they're learning their vocabulary exponentially at a higher rate to comprehend what's going on, not to actually be able to verbalize themselves. So they're going to understand, like babies won't be able to say, I want my bottle, but they can, say Baba, or when you show them the bottle, they're going to show you that they want it. So another tool that really helps is books. or magazines or whatever it is. It could even be your phone, that you're looking at something, an image, and having your child point. Okay. So again, for people who the child doesn't want to make eye contact or just can't make that eye contact, a phone, maybe a picture of someone, they may be able to look at a book, and you're going to find opportunity to learn new words. Be engaging and make conversation, even a trip to the store. We, in our center, we talk about too, Karen would often take her children to the store and she'd be narrating everything she found at the grocery store. The produce section has a lot of colors. And, if you're at the grocery store too, get down a little bit on your knees and look around and see what are they seeing at their eye level. A lot of times too, manufacturers will put stuff right in kids' sites, right? You got the aisles too that have all that candy and wonderful, hey, buy me before you get out. But the produce section, that really is the section you want to concentrate on. It's got a lot of colors, sights, and smells, and you don't even need to walk away with the produce. You can just pick up an orange and a lemon and show them the difference between that. But follow your child's lead. I know a trip to the grocery store can be really hard sometimes too, but it doesn't need to be, half an hour trip. If you can go in and out once in a while, that would be great. And this statistic just blows my mind, that children who are read to, just one book a day, will have almost 300,000 words by age 5. Can they express all those words? No, they can't. But just one book a day. If you take away anything tonight, I hope you take away the difference a book can make. And I'm going to send you resources too, where you can get free books. And we're going to talk about that in the next couple of slides as well. The Centers for Disease Control has a book that you can download from age 1, 2, and 3. You can also order their books online. We have a few copies at our center. If you want to send us an email, we can mail them out to you. But you can also download these little books, and it has tips in it from the CDC and developmental milestones, but just one book a day. And my youngest one, he liked the same book every day. My older one, he would hand me 5 books to read. We took a lot of trips to the library. We had a local library, and some of these books too, you're going to see, I'm going to give you some links to, hey, what if we can't get a book? What if we can't go to the library? I'm going to give you some options as well. So you know the best what your child likes, right? I want you to take a moment and think about 3 things you know your child is going to respond to. Even one thing, but take a moment, try to think of 3 things. So tonight I can, and I tuck them into bed. I can say 3 words. I can think of 3 things. I can have them point to 3 things. They can pick out 2 socks in a shirt, or whatever it is that you know your child's going to respond to. Like I said, my youngest son had 2 blankets. I knew when I handed him his 2 blankets, it was bedtime, right? So here we go. We're going to bed. Let's put your pajamas on, and the 2 blankets, there you go to snuggle with those. And and I still have his favorite book too. So about what you have. Even if it's a piece of mail that comes, they put a lot of pictures and stuff and faces in there, and even draw on some of your favorite books. So there's a lot of opportunities to learn at your local libraries. And in addition to just going to get books and reading them there, you can also see what events the libraries are doing. You can go online and visit libraries remotely. And I will show you the connections to that as well. But finding your public library, they're all across New York State. And this link right here will take you to a link where you can find the library in your section of New York. And you can go and look at information from any library in New York State. So you could be down in Westchester and take a look at what we've got in the Southern Tier for our libraries. So there's a lot of sharing. The New York Public Library has a lot of interaction that you can do. You can take tours. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do right on their website and at no cost. Here are the New York State Public Library systems. I put that in your PowerPoint for you. And so you can find your region, and this is their phone numbers. Again, that interactive map will show you where your libraries are. And we want you to make sure that you're staying in touch with your early intervention providers. I'm not sure where you all are in the process. I know that you hopped on tonight because you are waiting for services. And I hate to say it, but it is happening all across New York State as well as nationally. There's a shortage of providers. And there's many reasons why there's a shortage of providers. Here in New York State, they're aware that we do not have enough providers for the children who need services. We attend meetings with our local early intervention providers. And we're hearing directly, like, what are things that we can do? We know that there's wait lists, but I want you to stay in contact with them. Don't wait for them to contact you. Reach out to them for updates. Ask them also for options while you're waiting, what you can do. Another thing too is, as your child is heading to the Committee on Preschool Special Education, contact your school district. Make sure that, that you're seeing the supports that they have at the school your child will be attending. And always, you can reach out to us anytime. That's what we're here for. So if we can help you stay in contact, or we can find a contact for you, that's what we do. We also have, as part of our partnership with New York State, an interactive map. I didn't drop that in today's presentation, but I will send that information along following today. And there are different resources within this map. You will have a link coming up to the New York State special education section of NYSED, and it will show you resources, and one of them is this map that I'm talking about. It shows different agencies that help students with disabilities, all the way from even to things like mental health and resources. And some of these resources are statewide, some of them are national resources. So you're going to see a lot of resources as we go on to the next couple of slides. I hope that answers some of your questions, but remember, you can reach out to us anytime. Make sure too, when you're in contact with your providers for early intervention, that you're asking about teletherapy options. We know it's not always ideal, but it is better than nothing. They can give you tools and tips as you move forward. So ask them what is available, because you may have a therapist who is not local, but is a part of their agency, and someone that can provide those services for you. So the Southern Tier Independence Center holds the grant for 2 of our FACE centers. At the Southern Tier Independence Center itself, we are part of the Southwest FACE Center. And if you click right on that blue button, it'll take you right to the Southwest FACE Center information. STIC also holds a grant for the Southeast FACE Center, and also there to support families and schools. They do the DCMO and the ONC BOCES area regions. And then you can click right on this button, and it will take you right to the website for their information. We work closely together because we are both housed by STIC, holding the grant. And at one time, we were just the South, and we served both regions. So we're very familiar, and we work, like I say, real close together to ensure, like, we're helping everyone in the South part of the state. there is a FACE center near you, which you can always reach out to us. You have trainings, different regional partnership center trainings as well that you can join in your area where you are. But you're welcome to join any FACE center trainings upcoming. You know, if we're offering something that you just missed in your FACE center, you're welcome to pop on. We love to have anyone. And, you know, we are all here in New York and we are here for everyone. So if you want to get in contact with your FACE center, we'll be happy to help you with that. Now, here's the resources I was telling you about. That top resource, that takes you right to NYSED, the New York State Department of Education. And this link will take you to the special education, right to parent resources. And here you can find guidance and things related to education of preschool students with disabilities. And it'll take you right to the Office of Special Education for preschoolers. The next website I talked about a little bit, the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC. And this link will take you right to parenting of toddlers. There's YouTube. You can always type in things for books, read alouds. That video I showed you with the child and his dad was from there too. But we do want to put a little disclaimer there. Please make sure you screen them first before you show it to your children. There's a new cartoon from PBS. It's called Carl the Collector. It's fantastic. It just rolled out in November, but it's about Carl, who's autistic and has his friends who also have special needs. And it's a beautiful cartoon with wonderful characters. And it just rolled out. So I gave you the link here so you can pop on that and take a look at that. PBS also has Reading Rockets. It's got some great information. PBS does have some excellent programming. So take a look at that. I also put in here the link to the U.S. Department of Education and Right to Parents resources. Scholastic has a beautiful website with information for parents as well. And then the final two on the bottom of this page are the Family Resource Network and Parent to Parent of New York State. And these are hot links. So if you click right on them, it'll take you right to those websites. This is how you get to the OSC partnership for registering for events. And this just gives you a snapshot of what you will see on that NYSED website I was telling you about. And you can see all of the different partnerships. These are the regional partnerships. You'll see Capital, Central, Long Island, Lower Hudson and Mid-Hudson and Mid-State, Midwest, New York City, North Country, Southeast, or the Southwest, and the West. You'll see on the right side, you'll be able to find that partnership center. It'll show you the counties that are served by the center and the BOCES that are in that area. And then that fantastic browse events. So if you click on that, it'll take you right to the events that are being held, upcoming events. If you would like to, we talked about if you'd like to be on our mailing list, please send me an email that you'd like to be on our mailing list, and we'll let you know any events we have upcoming. And then that bottom one is the map that I was telling you about too. So this OSC partnership through NYSED, this is a great resource. And we got a question? Okay, so let us know if you need any help navigating these things as well. And here's me, how to contact me. Like I said, please reach out anytime. My email is my first name, Leigh, my last initial, at STIC, which is the Southern Tier Independence Center, -sil.org. And we are located in Binghamton. And that will take you right to our calendar of events. And now we're going to open for questions, and thank you for attending. I hope I gave you some things that you were looking for. Again, please put in the comments if there's other things we can help you with in the future. if you want to personally contact me, I'll be in the office tomorrow. Probably check my email tonight, but yeah, let us know if there's anything we can do. And then even if it's, a week from now, a month from now, after the holidays, and you're like, hey, I still have some questions, or hey, I'd like some information. We're again at the Southern Tier Independence Center. We are part of the New York State Education Department and part of the Office of Special Education Educational Partnership. All right, so now we'll open it up for any questions. I'll leave this information up for a minute.
Okay, folks, if anyone has any questions, you're welcome to type it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and certainly speak up.
Not so much a question. I apologize that I'm invisible, but I got displaced multiple times, which is why I was late to the meeting, and just I'm not in a cute spot, so I'm not showing myself. But I more than anything, I just wanted to thank you for all the resources and the information. We work with parents who really do are struggling with their kids as they wait, and to be able to give them some of these resources in the immediate. One of the biggest challenges, and I think somebody had mentioned it, is, some of our parents are not overly verbal themselves. And I don't mean in a developmental way, they're just not chatty people. And, I know, that, chatting it up with your children is, as you pointed out, one of the most important things you can do, kind of narrate. So, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or ideas about how to maybe inspire the less inspired parents that we have, who are just not overly chatty, and now they have a child who's either nonverbal or low verbal, as they're trying to wait for the services. And even when early intervention is in place, I know they're being given some instruction as to how to interact with their child, but I do feel like more is better.
Right. I think going back to the very beginning of what is the parent's strength? So when I said too about reading isn't just reading the words from the book. I worked with a parent for quite some time. But one of my first interactions with her is it was a one-on-one. It was a parent training, but she was the only one who showed. And I'm so glad she did, because she ended up telling me, and we were maybe 10 minutes into it, and I was talking to her. It was about reading and language. And she said to me, can you tell me what this paper means? And she pulled out the paper from her preschool. And it was a no peanut zone. And we had just got done looking at books, looking at the words and what the pictures were talking about. And she's like, I can't read. And I said to her, but tell me what you see here on this paper. Well, you may not know the written word. What do you see? And she said, I see peanuts. And what's over the peanuts? And she said, big slash, and that means no. And I said, well, you couldn't read the written word. You're seeing the images, and that is, you are learning, and you're going to be able to take this back to the teacher and say, could you explain this to me? I mean, we don't know what they don't know. We don't know how many people had someone, just one person, who made an impact. I said to Nancy in the beginning of tonight, the reason I got into childcare and in the first place was I was so enthralled with my first book report was on Helen Keller. And I just could not believe that with everything that happened to her, she couldn't see and she couldn't hear, and still she communicated, and she became, this just such a inspiration to so many people. And not just her teacher broke through. And that's what I hope for parents, is that there's some little breakthrough. And I know I have one of my experts with me here tonight, and I see she turned her camera on. Stephanie gives us a lot of insight too. from a parent's perspective. And Stephanie has a lot of advocacy background. So Stephanie, I can see you chomping at the bit. Go
No,
ahead.
I was actually just reminded of our conversation this afternoon when we were talking about, I had a 3-year-old who was obsessed with AC/DC, and
Yes.
sure, he was screaming "Hells Bells" at the top of his lungs. But
Yes.
communication doesn't always, you can also be doing the air guitar and have your kid do the drum solo, right? Like, it's the back and forth, it's the exchange of communication. And they can learn a lot of vocabulary through music. And I think sometimes parents feel it has to be educational, it has to be this awful Baby Shark song or whatever. And it's hard to find people who don't have any favorite songs. So
Right.
sometimes and I know, Lee, you mentioned making things musical or singing about things, which is a different part of the brain. But I think for a lot of parents, just have fun with your kids. It doesn't have to be,
Yes.
if you're putting your camo together to go out hunting tomorrow morning, right? Like, just talk about things that are interesting to you. And maybe that kid will never hunt or wear camo, but you can, your enthusiasm, the parent's enthusiasm about something is what makes kids interested. And I think some of our parents are just not confident, whether or not they have those verbals. It's a confidence issue more than they're not chatty people, right? Lee, just to build on like, oh, what's the strength? But just, whenever are you going to have a captive audience to talk about whatever you want to geek out about? Like,
Exactly.
fine.
Right. That's, I hope that parents take away too. They're the key. They already have the magic. They have the magic wand. Nobody knows their child better than the parents. So if we let them know that they're the most important advocate, they're the lifelong advocate, they're the lifelong teacher, the children learn from them. And it doesn't have to be, say, about reading. My youngest one hated to read. Okay. He didn't like baby books. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And so they're like, well, take him to the store, buy him a magazine, have him look at something that interests him. And now he can read, so even though that parent couldn't read that I was working with, she could pick up a book and describe. It was beach scenes and sea animals. And I said to her, you don't need to know the written word. Like I said, you can get something in the mail. You're not going to really read if it's an advertisement, but you can see the photos that come through. You can see, oh, it's a car wash, right? Here's an advertisement for a car wash. What do you think happens there? And then you take that to the tub. Hey, here's the car. Let's pretend we're the car wash. So giving them something that they're already interested in. And I think that's the first question. What are you interested in? And what is your child interested in? And playing on that. Sue, I see you you put your photo back up here too. Sue, what can you contribute? Did you want to say something here?
Oh, I just love all the ideas that have been shared. Play is a lot of fun. And I think as adults, we sometimes think that we have to act like adults. And it's so much
Exactly.
more fun to play.
Yes.
What you said was so accurate. Whether it's your children or your grandchildren, they show us pretty quickly what they like. And if you can key into that, and find, I think people can be very creative in terms of understanding where their children are and how they can interact. I remember when my son was young, we'd go out for a walk and we'd just chat about everything that we saw on the walk. He didn't have a whole lot of language when he was really young, and then it developed. And I remember taking for what my mother was with me, and she was a teacher, and she said, why are you talking to him so much? I said, well, I'm not talking at him. I'm just saying, hey, look at that ditch. What's in the ditch? Do you see that water?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like, oh, You want that stone? What you gonna do? Oh, you're gonna throw it in the water? Oh, boy, that made a big splash. And just being able to describe, as you said, what's happening at the time, and playing with them in something that they enjoy and that you see them enjoying. It gets very frustrating for parents when you're waiting and you know that your child needs fine motor help or gross motor help or speech and language. It can really be very frustrating. And, but I think trying to figure out ways that not only are you advocating to try to get those therapies up and running, but also you're learning along with your child about what your child enjoys, so that when you are able to get the therapy going, you've got a head start. You can tell the therapist, these are some things we've tried. We discovered he really doesn't like this, but boy, does he like this. And
Well, and I think too, Sue, right? Like a lot of parents have this misconception, like we have to have all these therapy toys. And like my son, I bought all the toys, all the educational toys, and he had one of his tiny baby shoe boxes, and he'd say, sock box, put the socks in the box, take the socks, and he'd have to wear a yellow rubber dish glove while he was doing it. And I was like, this kid is not okay. But when it was like, what kind of fine motor activities do you do? I'm like, oh, he does the sock box, right? Like whether it's organizing sticks or, it doesn't, what are they doing with their hands? It doesn't have to be run out and buy a bunch of expensive toys, or you have to have name brand Duplos in order for them, to be able to stack blocks. It can be anything, right? Especially if you can get outdoors. I think that kids just are so drawn to nature that they can have a pile of 5 rocks and do all kinds of stuff with them.
Yeah, it's true. I want to touch on just too for a minute that, some of what's happened too is things have grown faster than we can imagine. I think, I said too, use your phone, it has pictures on it. This has really stopped communication, right? If we can help families get off their phone for a few minutes, we're all tied to that. And we also just went through that collective trauma of being in a pandemic. And so we weren't seeing people, right? Now we're out in the world. And I will say, I do see a lot of hope too, because for the first time since COVID, I have children coming up to me and starting conversations. And I hadn't seen that in a couple of years. And I'm talking little ones. I'm talking like when they came around trick-or-treating, right? Or I see them in the grocery store, they're initiating, they're wanting to get to know people. And I'm like, that's a very hopeful sign. So pay attention to, like, when you're working with your families, have them pay attention to their child paying attention to others. I think that's very telling, because they may act one way with their family and one way when they're out into the world. Maureen, I see you shaking your head, and you have sweet little ones there too. Is there something you wanted to add as a mom of young ones?
Not specifically, just I relate to what you're saying.
Right.
That's
When you're out in the world, right? And so they relate to, I mean, how many times did a child come home after a day and be like, Mom, and then they unload everything, but they had to hold it all together at school, right?
Like,
And sometimes, go
no,
ahead,
I was
Steph.
just going to say, when I think of Maureen's kiddos and the age difference, also don't be afraid to have them put the siblings to work, right? You have that one kid that talks your ear off until your ears are bleeding, and you're like, please stop talking. Let them talk to the baby, right? Like you still, even if the baby doesn't understand you any better than it understands the 3-year-old, like just, work together with whatever you have.
Right.
So I think that too, the sibling communication can be so different. But again, if there's a sibling in the house, put them to work. They won't know the difference. They don't know they're working for you.
This comes from a mother of 4. So yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And that's the thing is, how do they interact with each other? and who are their favorite people? I mean, if you think back to who are the people that inspire you? I wouldn't be here tonight if Sue didn't meet me in the hallway and be like, hey, Lee, there's something we would like you to take a look at. And it's very near and dear to us because we know there's a shortage. And everyone's trying their best, right? We're trying, those agencies are trying their hardest. I see that they're recruiting so much. They're getting teletherapy help from even other states. It's different all across New York State. We have therapists from, 20 minutes from each other, and they're paid at a higher rate in another county. So it's like, all right, what are we going to do? People are aware of the shortage. There are measures that they're trying to do to help those therapists as they're going to school, with payment, loan forgiveness, things like that, to encourage them. We're trying to get more people to go into the field. So there is some brightness happening, but we're aware, and just being here with the task force, knowing how important this is to families and listening to voices is really telling, and very inspiring to us too. So tonight you had both the Southeast and Southwest on, and we're here to answer your calls. If you have any more questions, please put it in the chat. We will stay on for another few minutes. Again, if something comes up, you think, oh, I forgot to ask that question, we're always here. Send us an email. We'll be sending out information. It'll come from Nancy probably tomorrow. But thank you. Thank you for being here, taking the time. Appreciate you being here. And thank you for inviting me, Sue and Nancy, to be on tonight. I appreciate that as well.
There's a nice suggestion in the chat as well.
Oh,
Just about asking your EI core team. Maybe they have some ideas as well. Because really EI is more about training the parent in a way,
Yes.
right? Like parents see it, caregivers see it, and then they kind of carry it over because attention spans for our babies are so little. You're only going to get a couple minutes of work time with the babies, right?
And don't wait for them. Don't wait for them to contact you.
No.
Do updates. Say, what can I do in the meantime? Okay, it's been 2 weeks. It's been a month. What can we do? Because they may have more resources. Something may have changed in that month. You are definitely in all their data, but I'm saying reach out, all right? Because communication goes both ways, to and from. So make sure you're reaching out to them as well. Thank you, Shannon.
Lee,
Well,
it's
this has
Michael.
really been
Is it
very
okay if I
wonderful.
chime in?
Oh, hi,
Yeah,
Michael.
sure.
Yes, I know Michael could only join us by phone. Thanks for being here tonight, Michael. Michael is our family engagement facilitator. He works with school age, but he's been hopping on everything we are doing. So as he learns his role and what's happening with FACE centers across New York State. Thanks, Mike. What did you have to contribute?
Hey, first of all, thank you for all the smiles and laughs. Hearing everyone's conversations, it's brought up a lot of nostalgia. But I wanted to say thank you, really trying to show and express how it's important to stay committed, connected, and being a part of the process. It is a process of exploring and discovery, and you really pointed it out well, gave some really wonderful activity ideas themselves. I just wanted to say thank you, because we know that it can be very challenging, very daunting, very tiresome, even very heartbreaking in some instances, where you're just trying so hard as a parent, as a teacher, or even just a neighbor or another relative, working with individuals in any way. And just, you gave out so many wonderful examples, and really shown by how you talked tonight how important it is to stay on that path and keep going down that right path, because you will get the results. It just may take a long time, but you will get them. So thank you.
I thank you for coming on and saying that too. Funny thing is, my battery started running low. I forgot to plug the battery in. My batteries are not running low, but I was like, oh my gosh, what if I lost them? And that is the beauty of the FACE centers, that we all work together, and it's when we communicate and you know, we're all here for the same cause, right? We want to help families across New York State and in our own communities. And we love what we do. And we're here. We're here for you. And so if you have any suggestions, if you are looking for something in particular, the NYSED is always looking for what our families are looking for. Like to come up with new training. So if you can think of something like, hey, we need answers to this, or where do I find it? We may already have a training that you can be part of. So again, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you to my coworkers for supporting me. They know, they know I was working on this for quite some time. So I appreciate all of you being here tonight. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you. It was
you,
absolutely
everybody.
wonderful. So
Thanks.
that it will be very helpful to so many people. We are going to send out an evaluation, and actually the evaluation will come on your screen when you sign off. If you could please take the time to complete that. And you can also give us ideas on that evaluation as far as additional trainings that you'd like to see. We're always looking for some great ideas, like Lee said. So please don't hesitate to share. And the task force, the Southern Tier Task Force is only one task force. We do have them throughout the state of New York. So if you are someone that's downstate, you know, don't hesitate to let us know if you're interested in joining. Just put your email on the evaluation and we'll get you in touch with the right people. Thank you again, Lee, and thank you, Sue, for helping to coordinate the task force, and everybody who came to share your information and ideas. I think this has been a really wonderful experience tonight, and we look forward to seeing you again at another event. If you are looking for assistance on functional behavior analysis and behavior plans through the IEP process, we do have a presentation tomorrow at 12 noon. Don't hesitate to put it in your eval, and I will send you the link for that as well. Thank you again, and everybody have a wonderful night and a great holiday season.
Thank everyone. I appreciate it. It was very helpful.
Oh, great. Thank you, Heather, Jane, Adrian. Thank you.